The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is All Things Elite. Welcome back to All Things Elite. Load up the pod, man, it's on when we speak. Rich right here, let me warm it up for Austin and Floyd. Couldn't be no one but the boys. When it come to All Things Elite from the fan perspective, swear, man, it ain't no question. Hear from them first. Swear, man, they putting in the work. No, they had to get me for the verse. Social Suplex Network's on. I was at a time in your headphones. Austin and Floyd on the microphone. Backing out on the ring, getting in the zone. Pulling up the show, give it 7 stars, you already know. Who else could it be but the show with the proclivity for positivity? I'm gone.
Welcome everyone to the 5th episode of the Bracket Madness edition of All Things Elite. I am your host, Floyd Johnson, and joining me as always from way across the pond, it is my good friend, Sir Sam Brown. How you doing, Sir? Sam?
I'm very well, thanks. From Newcastle, Australia.
Newcastle, Australia.
Yeah.
All right. Before we're going to jump into why me and you are super excited and why it's unique to this show that we have to talk about our excitement, but make sure you're downloading this fine show on YouTube Music or Apple Podcasts. Please leave a rating and review if you're so inclined. You can follow us at AT Elite Pod, at Social Suplex, at my other host, Austin Sumowitz, and at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. Sir Sam, hit them with your follow.
You won't be able to find me on Twitter right now because I am on a hiatus from Twitter, but you will be able to find me on our Discus, on the Social Suplex Discord. Did I say Discus?
Discus.
What am I thinking? I'm thinking I'm in some track and field event here. The Social Suplex Discord, which you can join. You're welcome to join, and we have lots of great chats about AEW, about New Japan, about WWE. There's a great thread in there called Grifters Tweet Threads where we dunk on people who've tweeted some BS.
Yes.
There's movies, there's video games. Come chat to us about that. Come chat to me in the Discord. I'm Sir Sam in there. Look, if you do want to add me on Twitter, I probably will end up back on there at some point at Sir_Samuel. But right now, I'm having a bit of a hiatus from it. You won't find me there, but join the Discord.
Yes, if you join the Discord, Sir Sam will be holding it down for All Things Elite. I keep trying to be consistent, but I'm terrible at it. Between my group chats on Facebook, my DMs on Twitter, the phone conversations I'm having, I don't have anything left for Discord.
It's like podcasts you do.
Yeah, 2 podcasts do. I just don't have anything left. It's just I was like, I'm one of those people that if you haven't not noticed, I can talk forever, but there's certain things I just don't have takes on. They just happen, and it's it happened. I have no take on it. I don't know why it's good or bad. It happened, and that's kind of thing. And it's like Discord, you got all the group on there. I feel like pressure to say something smart, and it's I don't really always have anything smart to say. So, but yeah, no, I just shit talk a lot of times. So, getting past that, we're gonna jump into the show. We've been gone a couple weeks, but it was a good time to take a break because pretty much the finals were set, and it was if we did a show last week, we really wouldn't have had a show to do this week. So we can kind of combine the last 2 weeks into one big show, and we have our final, and it's a ladder match. I put a question mark by it because it's when we talk about how it was announced, you'll be like, oh, yeah, it doesn't make a sense. But before we get to this is celebration time for this podcast specifically. Me and Sir Sam have very different views at wrestling at times, and he likes that more real, grimy wrestler, and his favorite wrestler because of that is Jon Moxley. I like the over-the-top type characters, very much more of a Marvel superhero than than John McClane. Yes, that's what I said. It was always Iron Man versus John McClane was my our argument. I prefer Iron Man. You prefer John McClane, and so
I feel like your boy's more Captain America than Iron Man, to be honest.
well, since he is the American Nightmare, yeah, I think that would be that would be pretty astute, but. Over the last couple weeks, actually within like 5 days of each other, my guy Cody Rhodes, with me there on night 2 of WrestleMania, I saw my guy Cody Rhodes finish his goddamn story finally and become the WWE Undisputed Champion. Just a couple days ago at this point, it was on Friday in the U.S., Saturday in Australia. Jon Moxley defeated Tetsuya Naito to become the IWGP champion, and more importantly, the first wrestler to hold the WWE title, world title, the AEW world title, and the IWGP world heavyweight title. Sir Sam, thoughts first on the American, thoughts first on the American Nightmare, since I imagine they'd be shorter on him finishing his story, and then thoughts on your boy Jon Moxley.
Nah, look, my thoughts were with you, Floyd. I've been looking forward to this podcast because I know you went into the details on All Things Elite on the weekend, so you're not going to have to like tell the whole story again. But I'm just so happy for you because I've been in your shoes, right? Like I know how down you were about what happened with Cody, probably when he left AEW as well. Like he left AEW. I'm sure there was like a lot of uncertainty for you there. Sadness because he was leaving, and worried like what's going to happen to my favorite wrestler. And then he joins WWE, absolutely triumphant and everything. But then after WrestleMania, when he lost, I know that you took that really hard. And I could relate to that because I know when Jon Moxley put out that he was leaving the WWE in 2019, and you can go back on the Wayback Archive, Sir Sam's Court, on Wrestling Headlines. I wrote an article that was me pouring out all of my frustration and all my sadness at what had happened to my favorite wrestler at the time, Dean Ambrose, and how I thought that the WWE had the man who should be the ace of the world. He could have been the guy that took the company to another level, the guy that crowds would flock behind and would get behind and would cheer. And I thought he'd proved that so many times, and he'd showed why he should be the guy. But for whatever reason, they didn't want to make him that. They wanted him to do something else, and you could see that he had that realization as well, and that the energy from him had slowly left. And I poured my heart out and I was sad, and I didn't know what was going to happen because no one knew what was going to happen to Dean Ambrose at that point. But then months later, he turns up in AEW, breathes in that air, and you could immediately feel how invigorated he was, how excited he was. And I will never forget that week of being a wrestling fan where my favorite guy was once again the center of the world of wrestling, where I thought he belonged. And he had that surprise show up in AEW where he showed up, he decked Chris Jericho, he got in a brawl with Kenny Omega, and your mind just exploded with possibilities. And then he was revealed to be going to New Japan, and he has an absolute filthy good match with Juice Robinson, a match that I will always remember. And then he announced he's going into the G1, and it was so elating as a fan. And then in 2020, he wins the big one. And he is vindicated, and I am vindicated as a fan of his for thinking that he should be the ace of the world. Look, everything since 2020, honestly, it's been cream, and we're eating good. It's just Jon Moxley fans, and you almost get a bit sick of it. Not a bit sick of it, but you almost get bored of it. But then you're like, oh, I'll have some IWGP cream as well as my AEW cream, and it's great. But I was so happy for you, Floyd, because I know how you've ridden the ups and downs with Cody. And I know that you've had times where you've been really disillusioned. You've never not believed in Cody, but you've wondered, is he going to get what he is due? And boy, did they ever give him what he was due. And I'm so happy. I was like, as much as I was happy for Cody and, happy to watch what was a great match, I was thinking of you, mate. And I was so happy for you. Because as a fan, I want everyone who has a favorite wrestler to have that experience that I got to have as a fan of Dean Ambrose, a fan of Jon Moxley. And I was thinking of you when that happened, Floyd. So, and I couldn't wait to be on this podcast with you to talk to you about it. So, mate, the floor is yours. Cody's the man. Go for it.
Dude, it feels like a victory lap, and I'm gonna try to say something different that I did on the show, because I remember when he left AEW, and he was like, "Oh, how long?" I had to hear it online. Some from our co-hosts from our very network. How long is it gonna be before he's back in the gold and play and being Stardust again? He broke the throne on Triple H. Triple H ain't putting a title on him. All the different things. And I said it then, and I said it now. And then, I love sticking with the story of wrestling and being in the moment. But I said it. If Cody Rhodes didn't have winning the world title in his 45-page, that was the idea. Everybody threw out there their 45-page contract. If him winning the world title wasn't in that 45-page contract, he is a stupid, stupid man. I even said that, and I don't think I've never thought Cody Rhodes is a stupid man, but I just like, if that's not in the contract, if finishing your story is not in the contract, what the fuck are you going back for? That kind of thing. So I don't know if it's in this contract. I don't know, and it honestly doesn't matter. And then last year, I even said it. Last year when he lost, I was like, of course. All the doubts, all the people saying, of course they're not going to put their world title. They're not going to have their streak by Roman Reigns beat by AEW guy. Of course they're not going to do that. That's just stupid. There's no way that's going to happen. And yeah, I did not almost quit wrestling after Cody lost. I almost quit WWE. It's probably the closest I have been to just not watching WWE anymore in my 40-something years of watching wrestling. And I kept, honestly, Tiffany and her rampant, overwhelming positivity and hope and all that stuff. Literally, when I was at my lowest, as far as just not caring about wrestling, I wasn't depressed or anything. I have a fucking awesome life, but no. But when I was in that wrestling kind of funk, I was like, it was Tiffany. I mean, literally, I'd almost get I prefer AEW anyway. Why am I wasting my money on WWE? They're more expensive, blah, 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 all the stuff. But Tiffany kept me. She's like, you know what? When I heard the rumor The Rock was going to take over, we were literally like, oh, let's sell our tickets. Let's sell our tickets to WrestleMania. And she said, nope, let's just wait. She stopped me. I was like, let's just wait. And we waited. And her faith held out. And Cody won. And I said this on the show, and this is probably the only thing I'll repeat is, it was crazy because in my past, when my sports team wins, when other wrestlers that I've rooted for as my favorite guy won their title, it's this big celebration. I bought some alcohol. When FTR won the tag titles, even though they were bad guys from Hangman and Kenny, dude, I celebrated that night like nobody's business because, FTR did it or whatever. But this one, because of the loss, and I honestly can say WWE took a little piece of me last year. My reaction when Cody was won, I was recording Tiffany's reaction video, and I was just like, I can breathe now. Like all the naysayers, all the shit talkers, all the people that, had doubted Cody, I could breathe. I could breathe, and he won, and there was relief, and I haven't even watched the moment back on Peacock yet. I actually went through WrestleMania Night 1 yesterday, and I'll plan on doing Night 2 this week, and it was just like, He did it. I've bought like every shirt since then. I'm buying the WrestleMania decals. I mean, I am happy.
You're a good fan.
I am ecstatic. I am ecstatic that he won. But yeah, I think the celebration got left at WrestleMania 39 because on 40 it was just like I hugged Tiffany. I was like happy, but it was just really like relief that they did it. And I think I'll get more happiness over his run on top. Yeah, and it was funny because people were like, wait, they should have just started him in a feud on Monday. And I realized something, that wrestling fans are very, very impatient, because my whole thing is, if you're thinking about, you're a Cody fan, let's just say there's only one Tiffany, 17 years she was at literally his first match. As Cody Rhodes and
when he was wrestling, he was amateur wrestling.
no, she was like, like OVW, wherever he was, she was at that first match, right? Black tights, just Cody Rhodes type thing. So she was there, right? And so 17 years, right? And then me, I think I've been around since 2016. I'd say around 2017, he actually became my favorite wrestler. So I'm 7-8 years in. You know what we want to do? We wanted that victory lap on Monday. We wanted that victory lap on Friday. We wanted a moment to just breathe and enjoy Cody being the guy. And not only is he the guy, he's Triple H's guy. Like, he's Triple H's first guy. And like I said, that it means something, because they are literally, if you notice what WWE is trying to do, and I know this is not a WWE podcast, so I'll keep this very short, they're basically trying to erase the Vince McMahon part of their history. New era. That's all I heard.
Yep.
New era.
Paul Levesque era.
The Paul Levesque era. Let's forget the old era. The Renaissance.
Levesque?
It's Levesque. They're trying to get rid of the Triple H era. They're trying to get into Triple H era and forget that Vince McMahon stuff ever happened. How they're shooting the show, just a whole different presentation. They're really going out on a limb to make you forget about Vince. And, me personally, I'm fine. Wrestling moves on. I don't even think about it. I know some people aren't as quick to move on with me, but with Cody being presented as the guy, to me, as the guy he should have been in AEW, as the guy he should have been wherever he goes, it's amazing. But it's even more, based on the character he plays, it's even more realization that character wouldn't have worked in AEW. That's just not who AEW fans want to root for. This guy that wears the American flag everywhere he goes, and he's blonde, and oh man, he blonde, good looking, in shape, talking about just do the work, and you get there on your own. Yeah, that's not AEW's guy, and that's fine. That's fine. It's just AEW's guy is John Moxley. AEW's guy is grind, and the grind guy, the work hard guy, the underappreciated guy. That's who AEW wants to root for. You know what I mean? The underground guy, their guy.
They are an interesting reflection of each other, and the companies that they both work for and represent. Because AEW's had a lot of kind of faces and images, but I feel like the most dominant guy they've had, and the guy who's reigned most as champion for them, is Jon Moxley, and very much I think he does represent a lot of what you said. But they're an interesting reflection of each other, Cody and Jon Moxley, because they are very alike. Like you look at what Jon Moxley talks about, and he talks about believing in yourself, finding a goal and going for it and working hard for it and grinding for it. He's the first to admit he's not like the most naturally athletic. He's not the most naturally charismatic. He's not the most naturally good looking, but he just ruthlessly goes after his goal, which is, betting on yourself and ruthlessly pursuing a goal. That's exactly what Cody Rhodes did, but they've just got very different ways of showing it and presenting themselves. And yeah, I think you're right to sort of highlight the differences in them and how that reflects the companies that they represent. Like WWE is very much about the glitz, the glamour, whereas, there is something a little bit more grungy, a little bit more underground, a lot more rebellious about what is at the heart of AEW. And, Cody Rhodes did represent that in some ways, but I think at his heart, he is a showman. He is, he loves the bright lights, the center stage, whereas Jon Moxley, he lives for the indie show with 50 people where he can light something on fire and go through some glass and bleed everywhere. Whereas Cody Rhodes lives for the main event of WrestleMania where the lights, where the fireworks are going off all around the stadium and the light. And it's not that the two can't inhabit the other part well. Gosh knows, Cody
Cody likes to bleed. That's the one
Cody does like to bleed. Absolutely.
They have that in common.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I like that sort of that reflection that you draw and the connection you draw between the two of them, as these are the reflections of the companies that they both represent and have really, Jon Moxley, as I said, he's not really he's kind of been downcycled in AEW, but certainly in 2020 in their initial launch, he was pushed as one of the big names for them. And then in 2020, he was the champion for the majority of the year, carried the company through COVID. And then again in 2022, he was the guy that they sort of went to when everything with CM Punk didn't work out twice. And he really represented that underdog, that fighting spirit that AEW's got at that point. To get back to what we're talking about, because we're probably going to have to rein ourselves in at some point, but to get back to what you're talking about, I'm happy for you and I'm excited for you to see Cody's run because, as I said, I felt very vindicated in 2020 when I saw how successful Jon Moxley was as champion, and then particularly in 2022 when I saw how, look, he's done it again. This is the guy. This is just remember, this is the guy. I felt very vindicated in both instances for not just my fandom, obviously as a fan, I loved seeing it, but also as someone who put themselves out there and written a lot about and podcasted a lot about, the reason this guy is the guy. And I'm looking forward to hopefully you getting that with Cody. And I've got no doubt that he's going to be successful. The WWE right now is absolutely on point with satisfying the fans that it has. As long as I've been a fan of wrestling at all, they have never been in a better position in terms of how well they're satisfying their core fan base. And I have no doubt that Cody Rhodes is going to continue that trajectory.
Yes, and I get to announce here I added something to my bucket list. I realized I had pretty much done everything I wanted to do as a wrestling fan. I mean, I say how fortunate I am in life because of that. But there's one thing I have not done. I've never been on TV on a WrestleMania.
Huh. There you go.
So
that's gonna cost a pretty penny, Floyd. I tell you what.
We were talking about it, and I was like, it won't be next year because I travel too much for it to be next year. But if I can,
you're gonna have to take a bank loan, mate.
You're gonna
have to sit down at your local mortgage broker and say, look, I need to top up the old home loan.
No,
I want front row seats at WrestleMania.
What I'm gonna do is I am going to take a small amount of each check and put it into this savings account. And I'm hoping over 2 years, I can save enough to get this one ticket, either right behind someone to get on TV. Maybe I could become best friends with the wrestler and they can hook me up. But this is a dream right now because it's a dream because it's just for me, it would. I've only offered this to my wife a couple times. Well, once to be exact, where I would just completely quit traveling for wrestling, and that's what I would have to do. I would have to put all my eggs in that basket, and I am a very happy person. But I don't know what non-traveling Floyd would sound like, look like, be like. My wife might divorce me. I don't know. It's I don't know if my sacrifice as in the Creed song would be worth it to, it might sacrifice my life to be seen on TV at WrestleMania. I don't know. But I really it. It's just again, I've knocked out everything. Only couple things left right now are Wrestle Kingdom and now this. That would be the two. I mean, I guess meeting The Rock, but I don't know if that's as much wrestling as him, meeting The Rock. But yeah, I got to tell you, The Rock's entrance at WrestleMania was amazing. Getting to see Rock main event or WrestleMania, which is something I'd never done, meant a world to me. As much as I wanted Cody and we want Cody, and I would have been okay with The Rock never coming back, he is still like my favorite entertainer ever. You know what I mean? Like through his movies, TV shows, being a wrestler, everything he's done, he is my favorite entertainer ever. So it was just, like I said, I didn't want Hulk Hogan coming back and main eventing WrestleMania 17. I don't want The Rock coming back and main eventing WrestleMania 40. You should feature, the guys that got you there. They were selling out. WWE has been super hot this year without The Rock. It'd be like, like I said, I used this example when I was in line. It'd be like somebody, Sam's like, I'm running a marathon. And I was like, man, I got you. I'm going to run it with you. You get to 26.1 miles. And I'll be like, I got this last 0.1. That's me. That's me. We did it.
I'll take the checkered line. Yeah.
Yes, we did it. We did it. I'm like, yeah. But it was like the WWE was selling out. They basically sold out both nights of Philly. And it was like, The Rock's like, I made wrestling cool again. Oh, wrestling was pretty cool before you came back. It was like it was hot.
I feel like there was some pretty fun things that The Rock did. Like
absolutely.
The blood, the promos he was cutting on Twitter, like, oh man, I could not get enough of those. They were incredible. And what I really wanted to see against like this Hollywood champion was a John Moxley to come in, like a real working class blue collar hero to come in and put it to this up himself Hollywood champion. But I don't think we're gonna be getting John. I can't believe some people thought that Dean Ambrose would be coming back.
I was about to say
man, if they had allowed that, it would have been incredible, and I would have, of course, been blowing my mind off. But of course, it was never gonna happen.
You know what was crazy? That never crossed my mind. Because I was there at the Royal Rumble, there at the Royal Rumble when Seth Rollins came out to the Shield thing and threw Roman off, and that was the one time Roman lost it in a match and didn't win. He actually got DQ'd and kept his title that way. And I remembered that, and I was like, and then, Rollins said, I'll beat your Shield. So when the Shield music hit, I was like, obviously this is Seth Rollins. But afterwards, I'm like, oh man, that would have been cool.
Even if they had like cut some insane deal where like Cody Rhodes pulled whatever leverage he's got with the Young Bucks, and somehow they talked Tony Khan into agreeing to John Moxley showing up at WrestleMania. With what happened the week leading up to WrestleMania, they would have cancelled. TK would have been like, we thought we had this deal, but fuck you guys. We're out here. We're not doing it. John Moxley's not coming out. Not in your show. Not this time. See you later.
Dude.
Relationships have never been worse right now.
It would have been awesome just because Moxley is the one guy that has a tie to both Roman and Cody. And him coming in, and taking Cody's side would have, said a lot. But, like I said, it never crossed my mind until after, and I read all the stuff online, how people thought it might have been Mox.
And look, the last time John Moxley wrestled Roman Reigns, and the last time John Moxley wrestled Seth Rollins, who won? Who won both matches? John Moxley.
Yes.
John Moxley currently has wins over both of them that unanswered.
Yes.
He's the ace of the world, baby.
We never, what sucks is that we never got our John Moxley, Cody Rhodes match. So they still owe us that. But
that was one of when Cody left AEW. That's one of the things I'd do. When he was like, "I've done all the matches I wanted to do," and I was like, "You can't be serious right now."
Yeah, see, he didn't.
He never had a match with John Moxley. He never had a match with Hangman Page.
Hey,
like, come on.
Cody Rhodes is my favorite politician because he never had a match with John Moxley, and he never had his dream match with Sting. He called Sting his dream match, and then to say I wrestled everybody on the wrestle. No, you didn't. I know you didn't. You literally called Sting your dream match, but he's Cody, and that's what he does, and he's really good at it. And honestly, I've talked about it before. What AEW's missing, it's like, when do you hear about AEW outside of AEW's wrestling? And it was like, if you think about it, when you heard about AEW outside of AEW wrestling, is when Cody was doing the guest spots on shows. Cody was on the NFL Network. Cody was pretty much everywhere spreading the gospel of AEW, and there's nobody in the company that does that anymore. And I've always said that's sorely missing, because that's how you grow. That's how you grow your audience. You grow your audience when people see you in places that they're not used to seeing you. That's how you truly grow your audience. Just putting on a banger show every week is not how you grow your audience.
MJF tried to do that, to his credit. And I think if they want to, like Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay could sort of tap into that as well, but they're not doing it on the level that Cody Rhodes did, like going on reality TV shows, going on like the Go Big Show, all that sort of stuff. Like you're correct. You're very correct in that. And I've always agreed with you. Like, I've always agreed with your sentiment that AEW is missing someone to do that.
Yeah, and the whole thing with MJF, he'd be great if he didn't stay in character. A lot of the times he stays in character, and it was just like, when Cody was just like, he would go on and he would just talk about all the great stars they have and that you should watch it. And he did sound like an executive, and it's just like, it's kind of missing. But again, that's not what we're here to talk about. We got like an hour and 11 minutes before your heart out, and we still haven't even
easy.
Hey,
we still haven't talked about Punk in the Bucks.
That's what I'm saying. We haven't even got to the show. I was like, we should probably do the show.
Let's go.
So
stuck into it.
First things up, if you even remember this, because in wrestling days, this was 6 years ago, but all the way out back on April 3rd, it was the Young Bucks.
This was in the Vince McMahon era.
Yes. Yes, it was. It was
of AEW.
The Young Bucks versus OC and Trent, a.k.a. the Best Friends, were in the semifinals of the Tag Team Tournament. Honestly, this match happened, and it was a great match, but honestly, it's more notorious for what happened after the match. Yeah. But do you remember the match at all, sir? I feel like with these two matches, we can skip through them a little bit, because they did all happen so long ago at this point. But I really enjoyed this match. It was I wanted it to be a little bit more, I guess. Like I've said a number of times, I wanted it to be like the SCU match, but it couldn't. Maybe I was kind of putting it up against something that couldn't really be there, because the whole point of the SCU match was that they were retiring as a team, and those stakes were already laid out. So it couldn't have that. I kind of wish it had more of that emotional vibe to it, but because it didn't have that sort of stakes, it just had, who's going to advance in the tournament stakes. It probably couldn't. So maybe but I still enjoyed it. Like this is two teams that I very much enjoy watching, and I very much enjoy the antics of as well. The one thing that stood out to me was just the absolute two things, actually. So, and they were both Matt Jackson. He was absolutely out of control in this match, absolutely out of control. So early on, he's like, checks that he's just knocked, like Trent's just been knocked over, and he goes over and shakes his hand and checks that he's okay. And then he goes out and he takes the headset on. He points to the picture-in-picture ad, and then he like decks Trent on the outside as well. And then there was the absolute perfect timing on the super kick to Sue fake out. So he like hits one super kick on Chuck, I think, hits one super kick on Trent, or it might have been OC, and then goes to hit, and it's like the perfect 1, 2, 3, and goes to do it on Sue, and then just realized what he's about to do. And it's like, and the crowd just went absolutely nuclear on him, because of course you can't super kick Sue. She's not a wrestler. She's, an elder lady. She's a mother of all things.
and and he, tries to make it right, and then she slaps him, and then they've got this brilliant shot in the background of Orange Cassidy running up and then hitting him with a Superman punch. Just the pitch perfect timing on that, where it was like, rule of threes even. It was like bang, bang. I'm not going to do that. But it was the timing was so perfect on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They almost put the Sue in super kick.
Well done.
But this match was so fun because the Young Bucks, as this version of the Young Bucks, 'cause I've seen them as heels, and I saw them wrestle like the similar style. But this Young Bucks is heels with a restrictor plate on. They're like, for all you NASCAR fans out there, it's for all you non-NASCAR fans out there, this is what makes it stops the car from going too fast, having a restrictor plate. So, so the Young Bucks have been wrestling like that. Like they went Young Bucks, but they never went full Young Bucks. This match was the closest they'd been since the character changed to going full Young Bucks. You got to see a lot more of the, classic spots that they do. And I thought it was really good. Honestly, thought this was the best match of the tournament so far. So I just thought, as far as the energy, the false finishes, Orange Cassidy is a very pushed person in AEW. So I could have seen them winning. I know we had already predicted the final from like the second the tournament dropped, but I was like holding on to hope that Tony Khan would throw a curveball in there. I really was. And so that I think that my own personal excitement made the false finishes work a little better because I just really wanted something I wasn't expecting in the tournament. But the Young Bucks won, and that's good because they're one of the best tag teams in the world. Like Young Bucks versus FTR is like Osprey Omega of tag team wrestling. It's like it's going to be great. It's just what's around it. What's around it. And that gets us to the next match that I just watched.
Could we just quickly talk about the ending as well? Because I thought obviously the post match was really good.
Yes.
And a great angle. I wish they'd followed it up this week. I imagine they're going to follow it up next week, and they did do something on Rampage. But I loved the way that the best friends kind of sold that dejectedness and the sadness. And then Chuck kind of is like, come on, guys, we gotta look up because that's just what they do. But then the hug spot works so perfectly for it. Like for Chuck to just for Trent to just run in and blast OC's head off. But the setup and the for the hug, it works so perfectly for it. And then, of course, him going back and blasting past Sue and the Young Bucks also prior to that being in Sue's face after they'd won. Really great, like a great way to end it. And then Chucky T looking sad and dejected after what Trent had done, but not immediately taking sides as well, because I'm hoping we get heel best friends, heel as in just Chuck and Trent as heels, because Chuck is a very good heel as well. So a very funny guy and can be a real condescending prick if he wants to be. But I like the way that they sold it, and I like the way that they that how well the hug worked for that turn.
Yeah, and Trent is only ever, think about it. The only two people that have ever gotten anything out of this best friends relationship is OC and Chris Statlander.
Yep.
Because Trent and Chucky T are always the bridesmaids. They're always close. They're always around the title. They always lose. So Trent got frustrated. I know it's being kind of built as a heel turn, but I could honestly see it be like a soft heel turn, as in just the idea to get them more aggressive. They're just tired of Trent and Chucky T are just tired of losing. And I was one of those people very early on, and I was like, with the tag division, there is no reason in this earth that Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy should be former tag team champions and best friends aren't.
Yep.
The best friends were established night one press conference tag team. They were a press conference tag team. how haven't they been tag team champions? They're as much AEW as any tag team in existence.
Yep.
I mean, so it's just like I understand the frustration, and if Trent can let this frustration out on promos, because he's never been super strong talker, but like when someone turns heel, this is like their moment. This is where everybody's waiting to hear what they have to say. So this could be a make or break like promo, and I imagine we might see OC and Trent thrown onto Dynasty. I'd rather it not be. I'd rather it be more of a Dynamite thing. But I could see it being thrown on a Dynasty. But yeah, it was one of those things that apparently like either they have been foreshadowing it or people have just been hoping, because up until the week there's like Trent's going to turn on OC, and I had never seen that really foreshadowed on TV. So I don't know.
People just like the best friends, and they want to see interesting things being done with them. So yeah. I'm a big fan of this, particularly if it means we get to see the best friends do like a real story.
Yes.
Because they've had a lot of really great moments, and they particularly, if you include them, what Orange Cassidy did last year, which I think is fair, particularly given how much how they showed up in a lot of those multi-man matches that were around in that. But, they haven't had a real like proper story centered around them since like the Miro and Kip Sabian thing back in 2020. When did Arcade Anarchy Arcade Anarchy? I think it was 2021 when that, right at the start of 2021 was when that all climaxed. So that was a long time ago, and they're a team that is there part of the the riches that AEW has and the curse that can be, is that, sometimes best friends haven't been featured as a tag team all that much when potentially they could have been. So hopefully this means they do get that. And there's got to be some of that real life frustration that you talked about, that, could come out in a promo.
Yeah. I'm big on they should use Rampage better, right?
Yep.
Like for these teams that you don't see in a long time, that's what you should be seeing them on Rampage. I've always said that. I was like, Rampage feels like an hour of skippable wrestling a lot of times. And it's just like you have too many stars in the company. You have Miro that could be doing squash matches on Rampage. You have so many people that you could be artificially building their record on Rampage. So when you want to bring them back and put them in something that means something, it'll actually matter because, they've won 17 matches in a row or whatever. So it's like, I've always said Rampage could be used better. I like how Collision, I actually like Collision and Dynamite every week, but Rampage, that hour of Friday night that I make sure I watch because, I cover AEW, I always say it can be used better. And I'm hoping they use it to build Chucky. If Chucky and Trent are going full on heel, they use it to, again, get their win record up, move them up the rankings. It's like you have this ranking system, which it's beautiful and no other but company has. But yeah, you're artificially build those records on Rampage. So when you be like, oh, Serena Deeb's getting a world title shot, people don't ask, like, where the hell is that coming from? Like when Dustin just did this thing with Samoa Joe, why wasn't he beating jobbers for 6 weeks before he said, hey, Samoa Joe, give me a title shot? I've been hot lately. That kind of thing. Instead of he just coming off as an old man begging for a title shot.
Yep.
So, all right. Yeah. But I digress. I'm looking forward to how Trent is being presented. I remember, New Japan had big plans for him when he signed with AEW. So I'm hoping that we get to see that, and I hope he breaks Sue's heart. I want to see Sue cry. Yeah. I want to see Sue cry. Can Sue cry for us? That's. I
was going to say, what happens to Sue in this? If the best friends and Chucky T turn heel, then I don't know. Does the parent support that child?
No, you have Sue trying to bring him. You have Sue spending all of this time trying to bring him back to the light, and then he keeps doing messed up shit. That even makes him more of a heel because he's breaking his mom's heart every day.
I love it.
Yes, FTR versus Top Flight. I just watched it 30 minutes ago. Yep. My streak was almost broken. I had never missed any time a minute of AEW televised programming ever. Like watched all of it, the darks, the rampages, ever. I didn't realize this collision was on WrestleMania Night 1. I didn't realize until I was doing for these notes for the show that I hadn't actually watched the show. So I missed
This is the kind of time slot where, like, if you're a kid and you're flicking channels, you might see something that awakens something in you.
Yes. I was like, I hadn't watched the FTR match. I felt like a bad FTR fan. I'm like, how are you missing FTR versus Top Flight? And then I watched the match, and it was a really good match. My favorite part of the match, of course, was the ending. How they perfectly, they have... To me, and I would like Sir Sam's comment, they have come up with some very unique ways to organically get into the Shatter Machine.
Yes. And I liked how the Shatter Machine was being built throughout the match. Like, really early on, they tried to set it up with Dante as well, but Dante was awake to it. Like, he kind of saw that it was coming and got himself out of the sort of trap that they were trying to put him in. And I like that. And I like FTR being like the chess players that know they've got this move that they can sort of set up and like maneuvering into it. I kind of almost liken it to one thing I really like about American football, right? Like my favorite version of football is rugby league or rugby union, which are very free flowing and there's a lot of movement and it's very organic. But one thing I like about American football is it's almost like human chess, because you've got the passages of play are so short that you can see the coaches sort of almost moving their players around in response and really directly responding to what's happening, and calling plays in very directly and in a very and they're very controlling of what things look like and what's going to happen on the field. And you can see FTR almost they are seeing what's going on in the match, and they are calling plays knowing that they're trying to maneuver their opposition into this move that they've got that they know will end the match. And I really like that. And I'm curious if it's going to play into the finals match that we'll talk about later against the Bucks. But yeah, like the way that they ended up getting that Shatter Machine off the turnbuckle, I agree. That was the best part of the match as well.
Yeah, and I thought it was a really good match. I mean, the big thing is I found that I like FTR when they're in heel face matches. I don't care if they're the heel or the face, but I like them better when they're in heel face matches, because this was a face match, right? And it was just like they weren't trying to like work a limb or anything like that, because that's what heels do. So it's just like I will honestly say it just felt like they felt like they were holding back to a point, even though they never hold back. It does, because it's like, like what role are we supposed to be playing? And to me, it didn't work out, and they ended up being better. And like I said, I thought it was a average to good match, but it was just like, when I talk about my preferences when it comes to them, it's when they're playing a clearly defined role.
Yeah. I did also want to just highlight Dante Martin. Like, that guy he is something else. Like, athletically, he's just got he's got an extra 30 centimeters in his jumps than anyone else. Like, he just somehow floats in the air longer than anyone else does. And it's really cool to watch. I really like watching him. My favorite kind of wrestling is typically high flying. I'm not like Rich Ladder Pro Wrestling is not my preferred style of wrestling. But
you're a Moxley fan.
Yeah, I'm a Moxley fan. Falling with style. No, but watching Dante kind of soar, it's really graceful, and it's really pleasing to see. Lots of people try and high fly, and lots of people can do the dives and whatnot, but he actually has a leap on him that is impressive.
Yes, and last thing AEW needs is another title. But if they were to have another title, I think a juniors division would be awesome. I know they can't have a juniors division, because Darby Allin exists. So it's like, if they got a juniors division, it's like, why is Darby Allin not in it? So no, I understand why they don't have it, because a lot of their stars are like undersized, but
Dante's got a frame on him.
Yes.
You look at like Will Ospreay when he was in his early 20s.
Yeah,
he's pretty lanky. He's not anymore.
Yeah,
and you can already see like Dante's putting on some weight.
Yeah, he's bigger than Will Ospreay was.
Yeah. And same with Kyle Fletcher. Like those two, Dante Martin and Kyle Fletcher, if they can pick up the charisma and the mic work, if they've got, and they're willing to put in the work, like those two, they're some special athletic talents.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the future is bright. The future is bright in AEW as far as the athletic ability of the people they got. If they can, keep them all, it will definitely work out that way. But this sets up, FTR does get the win. This sets up FTR versus the Young Bucks and the build. Because I even said at the beginning of the tournament, we were both like, it's going to be FTR versus Young Bucks. We presented our ulterior options, but we knew it was going to be FTR and the Young Bucks. So we was like, that would just be boring to agree. So now I said at the beginning this match was missing heat. It didn't feel like FTR and the Young Bucks. So right after
I said they need promo time to build the match.
Right after FTR, they initially started the heat on that collision, because at the end of the episode, FTR runs out with Mark Briscoe to attack House of Black, and all of a sudden, because they can't come out without their entrance, the Young Bucks come up in the elevator, and then FTR comes down, and then they fight at the end of the show. And so, you're starting to build the heat for Young Bucks and FTR. And then it was announced on that same show that the Young Bucks will be releasing the footage from backstage at All In. And I remember...
We finally got the madness in Tag Team Bracket Madness.
So I woke up Sunday morning to this because I didn't watch Collision. I woke up Sunday morning to this, and I was like, oh, okay, so they're going to do something where it's, and this was my initial thought. My initial thought was never where they were going to show the footage. I figured they were going to say, this is what happened at the back of All In, and it'd be like Brandon Cutler dressed as CM Punk attacking someone that looks like Jungle Boy or whatever.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, and I thought that would, it's like, and then he punches Tony Khan in the face or something like that. It'd just be completely over the top. And, and then, you have, a kind of fat, bald guy and a guy with a mullet standing over there like, yeah, come on, CM Punk. And it'd be represented by FTR. That's what I thought we were going to get.
Yeah.
That's what I was fully expecting. So then Monday and Tuesday came, I'm celebrating Cody, and I'm hearing, oh, no, they're going to show the actual footage. This is not going to be it's not going to be a funny parody. And I was like, huh. So, I'm like, why would they do that? I mean, I was like, CM Punk must have went out of his fucking mind. There must be something that he's leaving out if they're going to show this video. So that's where my mind went. I'm like, okay, it built my excitement. It drew me in. I'm telling my friends, you got to check this footage out. So everyone has heard what I thought about the Punk footage in painful detail, Austin. So they don't need to hear another word from me about it. That's why I did this setup, because you really don't need to hear another word from me about it. I have talked about it as much as I want to talk about it. So, Sir Sam, what did you think when they were going to do it? What did you think about the execution? Do you think it helped? And, of course, the last thing you should hit on is, would you have done it?
Yeah, look, mate, this was... So I've thought about it. I said it at the time after I watched it. I've thought about it, and I stand by it. This is the worst thing that AEW has ever done. I understand why it happened. It was obviously a ratings ploy. But I think the real reason that it happened is I think that there is a part of AEW that I don't say never. I did say never in a group chat, and Rich Latter said never is a long time, and I was like, yeah, you're right. But there is a part of AEW that is going to take a very, very, very long time to get over what happened, what CM Punk did at Brawl Out and Brawl In. And we thought that we're moving on, right? That was the whole thing. Let's get the feeling back. The feeling was when AEW was so cohesive that people were joking that they were all friends wrestling because everyone was so much on the same page and seemed so united in bringing a vision of pro wrestling, bringing an alternative of pro wrestling to the screens and making it the best show in the world, making it the most compelling wrestling that had been seen in so long. That was the feeling that everyone wanted. But that feeling was destroyed by CM Punk at All Out. And again, when they should have been having the most triumphant moment that the company has had, it was once again at All In, where they managed to sell out Wembley Stadium. Now, like, the jury's out on if it's, the biggest wrestling show ever. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if it's, in the top 10 or if it's the number one. The fact that they were able to do it is such an incredible triumph. This was, in 2018, Dave Meltzer, the most respected wrestling historian in the industry, and that's not just by people in the industry, that's people outside the industry respect Dave Meltzer, bet Cody Rhodes that they couldn't sell a 10,000-seat stadium. They managed to fill an 80,000-seat, sell 81,000 tickets, or maybe 82,000, over 80,000 tickets. That should have been the most triumphant moment in the company, and yet it was immediately embroiled in darkness and toxicity because of what CM Punk did. I, like you, I thought, man, the only reason they would be showing this is because they want to paint CM Punk as a liar. And so CM Punk must have done something crazy, and we're going to see it. And they're going to do that to slander CM Punk to not only prove him wrong about this, but also then slander everything else that he said on that interview, where he went, once again went two-footed into the EVPs, particularly went really hard into Tony Khan. So the reason that they must be doing this is because they can show he's lying here, which then discredits the rest of the interview. You can get into splitting hairs, but there was not enough that was wrong in that segment to show that CM Punk was a liar. This changed nothing for anyone. No one who watched this was like, oh, I guess I was wrong about everything that CM Punk has said. They just went, CM Punk was right. He was right about that. He's right about everything else. The AEW fans that watched it went, this sucks. CM Punk's a dickhead. He got in a fight with Jack Perry, but, he's he didn't lie about it at least. Like, maybe maybe in his mind things were slightly different to what happened, but, he didn't do enough. He didn't say enough differently to prove him as a liar. I do not know. The reason that they aired this was because Tony Khan, I think, was very gotten to and is very frustrated at how the WWE PR machine is working so hard against AEW. And he is correct. Tony Khan is correct that AEW faces a wave of negativity, not just from the WWE themselves, but from wrestlers that are on the payroll of the WWE who are purporting to be objective criticizers of AEW. He is under constant negative attack from grifters who have seen a way to make some money out of being pro-WWE and anti-AEW, and he is under constant attack from people who have grudges against AEW for whatever reason, for things that have happened in the past with wrestlers that are involved in AEW, or because they wanted a job but they couldn't get one, because Tony Khan ignored them for some reason, because and journalists as well that are out there. He is right that the AEW, is under a lot of attack, and also WWE astroturfing of social media, the constant trolling that AEW cops from the IWC, and I'm not saying that there aren't AEW fans out there that take it too far in the other direction, but you're crazy if you think that there isn't more going on in the direction of coming in the direction of AEW. And Tony Khan is frustrated and pissed off about that, and more than anything else, he is frustrated and pissed off that CM Punk ruined so much of what was going on with this. And so he made a bad decision. He made a horrible decision, a terrible decision that has once again mired AEW in a year where things were looking up. Like, what did we say when we first started this podcast, Floyd? We said, the feeling's back. this is so good. Like, we've got these new recruits, we're putting on great shows, but once again, AEW has found itself down in the gutter, and willingly so, down in the gutter in this controversy that is never going to leave it. This is the millennial Montreal screw job. Like, brawl in, brawl out. We're going to be talking about this for 20, 25 years. Like, in 25 years' time, in 2030, in 2040 something, we're going to be having the 25th anniversary of Brawl Out. And we're going to be talking about the effects that it had on the industry, because we're never going to stop. Part of AEW is not going to get over this. And Tony Khan has clearly not got over this. He's probably looked at this footage. He remembers how he felt in that moment. And if you look at where he is, his back's probably up against a wall. He's got a very angry man in front of him who is trained, who is obviously like trained in combat, and is obviously in a state where he's willing to do anything to anyone. And, I love Tony Khan, but he's not he's not probably not the toughest of guys. Like, he obviously did fear, he said he feared for his life in that. Maybe that's a bit over dramatic, but he is right to be fearful in that moment. He watches this footage. He remembers how he felt. He thinks, if I show the world this, I will get them to feel the way that I feel. I'll get them to be on my side. But he needed someone to tell him no on this. This was a terrible thing for them to have shown. And once again, as I said, we're like mired in the CM Punk shit that has just been following this company around, and the dark cloud that will continue to follow this company around. I listened to all Things Elite, and you guys broke it down very well. And me and Austin come at this from the complete opposite sides. He's a massive CM Punk fan, and he sort of stands behind CM Punk. And I think he, from having listened, he blames a lot of what's happened on the Elite. I come from this as like a fan of the Elite. Like, they're my guys. My favorite wrestler is Jon Moxley, but right now, probably like my modern favorite, my other favorite wrestler is Hangman Adam Page. Like, I come from this from a very similar, like a very opposite angle to him, but I have the same conclusion as Austin did after CM Punk got fired. I remember this episode where Austin was like very down about it because his favorite wrestler had been fired from AEW, and he said, well, now we just need, like, I just hope you get over it and get on with it. And that is what I just wish would happen. Floyd, I so wish that we could just move on from all of this. I wish we could, like, obviously Punk took his shots. Why can't we just ignore it? Screw him. He doesn't work for the company anymore. Why are we doing an angle with him? Like, the Young Bucks did try and, like, tried admirably, I guess, to try and shoehorn this into the angle that we're doing, but it was just so clearly not in the best interest of this program, not in the best interest of AEW, and it just continues to make AEW look like they are stuck in the past, like they are stuck in this toxic negativity, wanting to fight, like wanting to get back at CM Punk for whatever happened, when they should be moving on, when they should be celebrating this amazing roster that they've got, these great shows they're putting on, and trying to build back what ground they have ceded to WWE that is very hot right now, when, at a time where AEW isn't as hot as it once was. And I just wish we could move on from this shit. I hated, like, watching it was like, it wasn't a salacious watch. It didn't achieve anything that they wanted to, and the proof of that is in that they've immediately backpedaled from it, and someone should have known what was going on. Someone should have said no, they shouldn't have done this. But I suspect that it will happen again, because I think the WWE knows it can needle at AEW and get under their skin, and keep bringing them back into this negative mindset that, as I said, I don't think it's going to go away for a long time. And that's sad, because I want all friends wrestling back. I want the company back that wants to do things differently, wants to change the industry for the better, and just wants to show that, as Jon Moxley said in 2022, after CM Punk, cut that promo at Brawl In, wants to show what pro wrestling can be. And yeah, I wonder if we'll ever get back to. Well, I know we will at one point, but it's going to be a long time before it happens.
I will say this, which is a completely different take. Being the company that makes pro wrestling better, to being the company that puts a more positive light on pro wrestling. I will say from the beginning, that was too much pressure to put on a company. It just is.
They did it, though.
They did it to a point. But I'm saying that's too much pressure to maintain in the 2020s, as in because of that target that they put on them. I even said they are the most criticized wrestling company in the world, right? And I do that more than WWE. And people are like, well, there's a bunch of WWE podcasts. Correct. But when you have a WWE podcast, people know what they're getting from WWE. And now that it's great, it's amazing. But when it goes down to average, it'll still be the same amount of WWE podcasts. When it comes to AEW, there's so much pressure to listen to the fans. And there's so much pressure to make it a better place. So it's like, oh, they release some people to trim some fat. Oh, you're the worst company in the world. You're WWE again. You only have one women's match on the show. Oh, you're WWE again. And it's like every time they do anything, oh, my guy's not winning. Oh, he didn't get pushed in WWE. Why aren't you pushing him? And it's just like, it's too much pressure for a company to be the Shangri-La of professional wrestling. As in, it's funny because they were called that by the guy that's the champion in the other company right now.
The Ellis Island.
Yes, the Ellis Island of professional wrestling. And it's
went back to Europe. What happened?
Yes. And so, by the guy that's the champion in the other company. And there is a ton of pressure on AEW to maintain that. And it seems like anytime they, like when they're growing and then they started charging more and all this stuff, oh my God, you're just like WWE. And it's just like, yeah, they're business like WWE. They want to make money. And it's just like anything that they do. Like the best comparison I could come up with is there was an episode of Family Guy. Or not Family Guy, I'm thinking of. There was an episode of South Park where they were trying to basically make a cartoon and they kept saying Simpsons did it. And it's like Simpsons has been around for 30 years. Of course we're going to do some things and that was the end of the show. It's like, of course we're going to do some things that they've done before because they've been around for 30 fucking years. WWE's been around for 50 years. They are the company. They are the longest running company in America. They are what American wrestling is. They are the beacon of what successful American professional wrestling is. AEW at some point is going to have to do some things like WWE if they want to be successful. And you can't have fans like, oh, let me jump off the earth and stop supporting them because they've done this one thing like WWE, because they're going to end up doing a lot of things like WWE before it's all said and done. Because they are the one example of a successful, long-running, successful professional wrestling company in this country. They are it. That's
a very pragmatic view to take. I'm an idealist. Like, I want to believe that sort of thing. And, as I said, like, they did a lot of the things that they said they wanted to do. Like, I guess the biggest positive they've had on the industry is they have created wage pressure that has increased wages for wrestling. I think their creative vision and the improved creative vision that they demonstrated has positively benefited WWE as well. There's a lot of things that sort of happen in WWE for other reasons as well, like certain people no longer being involved. But I think the pressure that AEW put on WWE forced them to look at what they were doing and potentially come back with better creative.
And AEW's given them their biggest star. So
the reason two of their biggest stars, that Punk's back as well. But the reason that I think this is the worst is like they've had some, like this isn't just some alley cat match on Dark. that is objectively bad. It's not, the Revolution botched ending, which is, a fluff, or even the Devil. Like, this is a completely self-inflicted wound that they were tempted into by the like, you think that the WWE didn't know what they were doing when they were taking those shots last week? They were trying to take AEW's eye off the ball. Like, AEW had a laser focus of, like, they unveiled a new catchphrase, like, we're the best wrestle. They had a focus, bring back the feeling, focusing on the things that they do well. And the WWE lured them into this. Like, you think the WWE didn't know what they were doing? They knew exactly what they were doing. They're like, CM Punk, get out there. And, like, there was a joke that WWE made their week all about AEW. And probably one of the reasons they did that was so that they weren't talking about some of the bad stuff that's happening in the WWE, backstage and historically at the moment. They made it all about AEW so that we could get lost in the salaciousness of, like, CM Punk on the Ariel Helwani show. Yeah, go and cut, like, Colt Cabana's podcast Mark II, but about AEW instead of WWE. Oh, Triple H, yeah, I'll just throw in a couple of jabs at their newest star. See what happens, and see what we can do to, the conversation. And AEW fell hook, line, and sinker for it. They got dragged down into the negativity and the toxicity, and it's a place that's no fun to be. It's a place that is counterintuitive. It makes AEW look like this jilted, screaming ex-girlfriend for CM Punk when they've got these new Ferraris, and CM Punk is a beat up old bomb at this point. Like, he can't wrestle 3 matches in a row without getting injured. And they've got these Ferraris in the garage that they've just bought, but they, for some reason, are fixated on this old bomb. Like, they look terrible. The perception is horrible. And as I said, like, it just gets everyone's mindset back into this, like, negative place. It gets us into the mindset of the darkest hour that the company's had, the worst hour that the company's had. And for some reason, there's parts of the company that are just never going to get over it. And the perceived injustice that they feel, I believe rightly, but, some people can believe wrongly, but the perceived injustice, they will never get like, there's some people in there who are going to take a long time to get over that and move on from that. And they will want to continue to have this relitigated until they are proved right, but they're never going to get proved right. Because it's, as I said, it's like the millennial Montreal screw job. Like, and in this case, TK is screwing TK. Punk is definitely screwing TK, but TK is also screwing TK.
Yeah, I will say this. I've only blamed one person from the beginning. I will continue to only blame one person. Hangman Adam Page is the only person that is to blame for this. And
you know what? Who's the only person that hasn't said anything about it?
Yeah, because he knows it's his fault. He knows it's his fault. CM Punk was happy-go-lucky, blah, blah, blah. Everything's amazing. Everything's the world. This is the greatest place in the world until that one fateful day. And he lost his trust in the company. And when you lose your trust in the company, you might as well just quit at that moment.
What did we learn in the Ariel Helwani? I don't want to get into this, but what did we? No, I don't want to even. Let's just move on. I don't want to talk about it. Punk is a complete hypocrite.
And
like a complete hypocrite who it will never be. Let's move on, please. Let's just
look in my eyes.
I have my thing of Hangman, my defense of Hangman Page ready to go. But, like, look at us. Like, we're getting, we should be talking about the Bucks FTR build, and here we are, like, relitigating Hangman Page and CM Punk. Like,
yes, look in my eyes. What do you see? All of my hypocrisy. That's what that is CM Punk. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I'm okay with it. It is what it is. So.
You love the messiness, don't you? You're not an idealist.
I do love the messiness. In all capital letters, I asked this question: ladder match, but why? Because at the end, Collision, it's just like, oh, it's a ladder match. No storyline. No, just announced by Tony Khan. This is a ladder match. No promo by FTR. No promo by Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Just announces a ladder match. And all I can think is, and Rich can attest to this. He was the first person I messaged after I found out about it. I was like, all I know is Rich is going to say they're doing this match because the FTR doesn't want to get pinned.
You know?
Yeah, FTR
Look, when I was thinking my pros and cons.
FTR doesn't want to get pinned. And I was like, God damn it. These motherfuckers just got choked out in their hometown. And we cannot get past these guys not wanting to lose. They lose all the time.
So, a couple of pros.
Yes.
FTR not getting pinned by the Young Bucks is actually a good thing for the story if down the line you want to run this back, like run the matchup back, because they can say, you beat us for the titles in the ladder match, but you didn't pin us. And that's a good reason, particularly if they're getting hot, like if they have another couple of, if they lose and they go away, having a feud somewhere else, that's a good reason for another match to happen. I don't like, so two things. I don't like the build to it because it has, as you kind of highlighted there, it feels very random and thrown together. Like it doesn't feel like this is what they originally planned, but they've sort of decided to do. But for the card and Dynasty and for the rivalry, I think it's good that they're doing something that's different. Because at Dynasty, we've already got Swerve Joe, which will be for the title. We've got Ospreay Danielson. We've got Pac Okada. Like they're going to be, particularly like the Ospreay Danielson and Pac Okada, they're going to be very like heavy work rate matches. So having the Bucks and FTR do something like a little bit different, I think is good for the card and the balance of the card, and will be good for the match as something that'll stand out on the thing. But I also think it's good for the rivalry. Like we've seen 3 normal matches from these guys at this point, like just standard matches. We've seen 3 of them at this point. So it is kind of the right time in the rivalry for it to go into like more gimmicky matches. And maybe they could have done a different gimmick match. But I think it's the right time in the rivalry for that. Now, could they have announced at the start of the tournament that the final was going to be a ladder match? Absolutely. Could they have, had one of them bring it up in a promo? Absolutely. But like the build for the tournament hasn't been perfect. Like we've had an imperfect tournament, and I guess the final's imperfect in the same way that the tournament is imperfect. Like it could have been done a lot better, but it hasn't been. But ultimately, I think it's for the better that this is a ladder match rather than a standard one-on-one match.
I completely agree. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to add. It's just like I hope they bring something on Dynamite, like the Young Bucks want this match, because basically, the Shatter Machine doesn't it neutralizes the Shatter Machine.
Yep.
Like the FTR, the last 2 matches that they beat the Young Bucks, Shatter Machine 1, 2, 3. That's how they beat them at All In. That's how they beat them.
Yep.
That's how they beat them on that episode of Dynamite. And it was like, the Young Bucks, don't kick out of this move or whatever. So the fact
it would be good. Actually, it would be good if they said that they were doing it for the reasons that I just outlined. Like, it's good for the card for it to be different.
Yes.
But everyone knows that they're doing it to dodge the strength of FTR.
Yes, the strength of FTR, Shatter Machine 1, 2, 3. The Young Bucks I think they have worked more ladder matches in one weekend than FTR has in their whole career. I'm not even joking. I believe there was one WrestleMania weekend where they did 2 or 3 in that weekend, and I think I was Googling to find out, and I think FTR's only worked in one.
They did versus the Lucha Bros in AAA, didn't they?
Okay, so 2. The 2 Lucha Bros, and then they did one versus the New Day at TLC 2019.
Were they in? Oh no, I'm thinking of DIY versus Authors of Pain now. So yeah.
No. So this is definitely not FTR's strength. Dax with his 2 jacked up knees? Not really.
Not going to be coming off ladders.
Yeah. This is a very easy thing to spin that this was a Young Bucks thing to go against FTR's weakness. And, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, immediately when they bought this, me and Dave Finishill, I upgraded us to 3rd row seats. We're going to be right there when it's happening for this ladder match. I'm like, it's FTR and the Young Bucks in the ladder match. I got to be close. And so I'm excited about that. But it's like, if the lights go out or whatever they decide to do, and I see the man in the scapegoat jacket or shirt, and he helps the Young Bucks win, as an FTR fan, I'm going to have to hold it in. But I just know all of me inside of me is going to be popping for this. Because I can live with the CM Punk thing if this is elevating Jack Perry. If they use this to not only put the title on the Bucks, but to elevate Jack Perry, I can be like, okay, it was worth it. Because I watched his entrance in New Japan in his match, and everything that I thought was wrong with him, like why he didn't stick off the screen, they have adjusted. And do I think he's a main event guy? We'll see. But I can honestly say my appeal to Jack Perry has went up. He understands the role that he's in. And I thought when he was a heel the first time in AEW, it felt like a little kid throwing a hissy fit. I feel like this is a grown man that's pissed off now.
Yeah. And another reason I thought that this could be that they've gone with a ladder match for this is because, excuse me, I'm getting the vibe that they're angling towards having Edge in the Anarchy in the Arena match. I can think of, because the tradition with Anarchy in the Arena is you have a song playing in the background, right? Like his song could be the one playing in the background while Anarchy in the Arena happens at Double or Nothing. And because at the moment Edge is teaming with Eddie Kingston and Mark Briscoe, and who could the Edge potentially call in to be his friends in Anarchy in the Arena? FTR. And then I was thinking, who could they go up against? Well, at the moment they're seemingly against, like, the Edge, Briscoe, and Kingston are against House of Black. There's no real affiliates that, House of Black could bring in. But what if the team that they actually go up against is the Elite? And you've got Jack Perry, the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, Kazuchika Okada against Edge, FTR, Mark Briscoe, and Eddie Kingston. What if that's the angle that we're sort of getting, and the ladder match is to sort of set up that escalation of violence that we're getting, heading into Anarchy in the Arena.
Yeah, I could see that. I had a different thought for Anarchy in the Arena and Blood and Guts, which, I'll talk about on my show, but on my other show. But that would be cool. I think they do well in those type of matches. I know Adam Copeland wants to he's a deathmatch wrestler. Yeah, he wants to push himself in different ways. He wants to bring something. He does want to elevate the company. So him being in those type of matches would be awesome. I gotta say, I want to see Adam Copeland. I want to see Adam Copeland on other networks and other channels.
So I kept calling him Edge, didn't I?
You can call him whatever you want to. We all know who you're talking about. I'm like, you've been calling the man Edge for 30 years, and it's like, yeah. But you know what's funny about him is he was one of the first wrestlers I heard that said, Edge is who I wrestle as. When you see me at a meet and greet, just call me Adam. He was one of the first wrestlers that say call them by their real name. And I was just like, and it threw me because I can't. Cash introduced me as his real name, and I still call him Cash. I don't
even know what his real name is. I don't want to know what his real name is either. They're
Well,
Cash and Dax.
I was going to say, he's very open about it. I mean, when you meet him at a wrestling show, meet and greet, he says, "Hi, my name is," and then his first name. You said you want to know, so I didn't.
I have Wikipedia, so I could.
Yes,
got the
yes. No,
I could find out if I wanted. It's not too hard.
They have the most plain names ever.
Scott Dawson and Dash Wheeler, right?
yes, that's their real names. No, but I've lost my train of thought. Like I said, it's just like I understand the whole Edge Adam thing.
Yep.
I know he wants to do different things, and how they usually line it up is that it's Stadium Stampede, Anarchy in the Arena, Stadium Stampede, and Blood and Guts all end up being some of the same groups.
Yeah.
So I figured it'll be MJF versus the Undisputed Kingdom, but if it goes with this the FTR, I mean it'd be Adam, Mark Briscoe, Eddie Kingston, and FTR against five guys, which could be House of Black, and it could be a House of Black and the Young Bucks. You know what I mean? Because Kazuchika Okada is not lowering himself to be in a stadium.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Anarchy in the Arena with Kazuchika Okada.
Yeah, no, he's not. Lowering.
Maybe he wants to do something different.
He's not lowering himself to be in those type of matches. He's Kazuchika fucking Okada. So, but yeah, so he's like, Young Bucks, go find somebody else to do that stuff with. But
no, I will not bleed and jump through glass with you.
no, that's not Okada's professional wrestling. So we will. Hey, what we will see. I'm looking forward to it. Those series of matches are always good. Now we can get to our predictions for the finals. I think we both are on the same side.
Yep.
FTR, my favorite tag team. I always have to start this because what I'm going to say is seems like I'm going anti my favorite tag team.
Yeah.
But I think the Young Bucks are what this tag division needs. I think it needs its Roman Reigns right now. Like Roman Reigns came into a messy world title situation, took over the world title, and 1,316 days later, he had fixed the world title to the point where when they did a change, it was this big deal. I think the Young Bucks could do the same thing for the tag team division in AEW. Come in, be the heels, hold on to the belts by any means. I think it should be a long run. I'm thinking a year. I'm thinking at minimum. And they just keep beating your favorites to where you're like thirsting for them to lose. And then whatever team you put over, it'll really mean something and it'll elevate the tag team division. So this old school thing. Put the heels on top, put Young Bucks on top. I can find something else for FTR to do for now.
And FTR are best in the chase, I feel like. Like that's where they're going to get, the crowd's going to get behind them when they've got something. Excuse me, because the crowd did get behind them in 2022 when they had something to prove, but that was them proving themselves as the tag. That was them proving themselves as I want to call the greatest tag team because they're not the greatest tag team in the world. That's the Young Bucks. Yeah. But they proved themselves as, the top guys that they say they are. And that was kind of what their momentum was generating from. But the Young Bucks, like, they can hold it and have, FTR chase or someone else chase. Who knows? But like the momentum and the crowd buy into FTR, it would be better for them to not win this, and have them chase. And, maybe the Young Bucks for this rivalry, right? Like maybe I was thinking on my way home, maybe the Young Bucks win in a ladder match, then they have a dog collar match that FTR win. Cause that's like, maybe you could say that FTR are specialists in that. And then they could have a hair versus hair and mustache match, to finish off the series.
That would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. Because I'm about to say FTR is as much as they're bald and hair, they're known for their facial hair more than anything. So they had to cut that. That would be like they'd be like, who are these people? I don't know. My favorite tag team is dead. No, But as what Osprey put, you can be the greatest and the best in the world without being the champion. So that's FTR right now. But no, I'm stupid excited for Sunday.
Yep.
FTR, Young Bucks, ladder match. I'm there. Got Dave with me. I think my brother's gonna be there. I haven't talked to him yet. It's gonna be fun. I might even get Caleb Baldwin out of his hobbit hole to come watch the match.
Out of the bathtub that he washed himself in.
Old bathtub Baldwin.
The dirty old bathtub.
Yes, but I just
that's a deep cut for social suplex lore there.
I truly believe the Young Bucks are what the tag division needs right now. FTR can be the one that takes it from them, and I would love FTR to be the first 3-time tag team champions. All that stuff. Yeah,
go on.
No, what were you saying?
I think that this is a matchup. Like hearing people talk about it in the lead up to this, it's like they've had 3 really poor matches. They've had like 3 really good matches. I don't think they've had like the blowaway great match that we envisaged, but that's because the blowaway great matches that we envisaged would have to be the greatest tag team match that's ever happened, because that's what this kind of rivalry was built up to be. It's like, this is the generational rivalry, and unfortunately, like, these guys haven't had the generational match. Like, the best match the Young Bucks has had is not with FTR, and the best match FTR has had isn't with the Briscoes. But it's not like the matches that they've had together have been, bad matches by any stretch. Like, they've been great matches in their own right. When I used to do the AEW match guide, both of these guys, which for those of you who don't know, I went out to a bunch of people in the media through Social Suplex, through Wrestling Headlines, WrestleIn, all sorts of different media organizations that are out there. And I got people to submit what their top 15 AEW matches were for each year. And in both of the years that these guys had matches, the matches came in the top 10. So like, they are highly regarded matches. It's just not the greatest matches that either teams had. So yeah, I think this and this match is set up to be, both of them are going out there with something to prove. Like, I don't think the Young Bucks will be terribly happy that they have, found themselves at the center of a controversy that has massively backfired in their face. And I think FTR will feel the same. And hopefully, with their backs against the wall, they can find some common ground and build something together. That is what we all hope that they can live up to.
They do this. These 4 people are black belts in professional wrestling. So yes. I have no doubt they're going to do it. And I think without the restrictions of like the rules, tags, and all that stuff, I think this will be like the best of their 4 matches. I truly do, because for some reason, FTR does really, really well in matches with no rules. Like, as much as they love the
they're
tag
great
rope,
spot monkeys. What can they say?
Yeah, but that match with the double dog collar match with the Briscoes,
incredible.
One of the best matches I've ever seen live in my life. So I have no doubt that, like, as long as everything, I can't say goes without a hitch, it's a ladder match. There are gonna be hitches, but I think they're gonna elevate this. They're gonna elevate this. I'm hoping it's the first match on the card too.
That would be great. That would be a great position for it.
Come out strong, ladder match right at the beginning.
Hot.
Have the ladder set up, and then they come out. That'd be awesome. But looking forward to this match.
Actually, I just thought of something when you said that. Yeah. What if, like, the Young Bucks, when they're doing their little, can they come up the center? What if they're, like, on a ladder when they come up the center?
Yes.
And so they, like, pop out and they go really high? That'd be funny. Yes. Anyway, sorry, I just had that thought when you were talking about the ladders being set up.
That would be crazy, because they're going to do something douchey, and we all know it, and they're going to screw FTR. But, hey, ladder match. There's no rules. You can't get screwed. Yep. There's no rules. I hope this time faces actually have friends, because I have this theory that in wrestling, the good guys don't have friends because they never come and save them. So, but that's it. That's our preview. It's 6 days from now. FTR and the Young Bucks. It's going to be an amazing match. I'm looking forward to it. And then after the match, sometime next week, we are going to do our wrap-up and celebration of everything that was the bracket eliminator. How we We took chicken shit and turned it into chicken salad to the best as we could have. So
we'll talk about our favorite matches. We'll rate all the different teams that were in it.
Yes. And like one to the lowest, and hurt some feelings while we're at it. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll be a great show.
Yep.
Make sure. So with this Dynasty, AEW Dynasty this Sunday, April 21st. I almost said February. April 21st, 24. In America, you can get it on Triller.tv. You can get it on Bleacher Report, and you can get it on something called Pay-Per-View TV, payperview.com, which I don't know if it's just Triller with a different name, but there's payperview.com, Triller.tv, and Bleacher Report in America. And then, of course, you can order it on your cable network or pay-per-view if you want to do it the old school way. And I believe internationally, I think the Triller / Fight
Triller is
the only way to watch it internationally. So.
I read somewhere you could do like a YouTube pay-per-view thing, but I don't know. They had a triple pack of Dynasty, Forbidden Door, and Double or Nothing. You save like $10, and I was like, well, I'm going to buy all three anyway, so may as well just buy them. And save
I was going to say, like, if I'm American, there's no way I'm not getting a VPN and signing up for the British Fight TV and only paying $14.99. It's literally half the price in a different country.
It's $30 Australian dollars, which is significantly less. So that would be about $20 American dollars probably, given the current. Actually, the exchange rate, the exchange just fell because Iran and Israel are going to war, so it would be even cheaper.
So it's like
get that NordVPN. We need to get advertising on this thing, mate. We need to hit them up and tell them we're advertising their products for free.
Yeah, because I'm about to pay $50, and I always do it on 2 different accounts so everybody can watch it, and then I go to the show. So I'm an idiot. Yes, it is true.
You're a fan, mate. You're a fan.
Yes, but that is it for the show. Do you have anything else, sir?
No, look, we've talked about some positives. We've talked about some negatives, and look, I want to move on from the last week or so. As I said, I was not enchanted. I would be lying if I didn't say that a lot of the negativity around that was one of the reasons I've been off Twitter and reminded not to be part of social media, the more open social media. But look, if you want to chat to me, I love to chat about wrestling, and the Discord is a great place to do it. If you don't have Discord, you can even email me, sambrownmedia@gmail.com, and I might, send you through some of my my shoot social medias that are, that potentially like a little bit more of my my personal stuff, not what I'd say was my public stuff. So if you still want to chat, hit me up. I'd love to speak to you and talk to you about wrestling, talk to you about this. And it's been, look, mate, Floyd, it's been so fun doing this podcast. I know we've got one more to go, and we'll decide what we're going to do after that. But it's been a lot of fun coming in doing this podcast, and I really look forward to this episode because we got to chat about Cody and John Moxley and all that good stuff. And I'm looking forward to wrapping this tournament up next week.
All right. Well, I hope this show has put adrenaline in your soul. Something, Cody Rhodes. Because this has been a fun show for me.
It's turned me into a wild thing.
Yes. Wild thing. Yeah. Tag team wrestling is the best. And you know what? This is the first time John Moxley and Cody have both been champions since, I believe, AEW when he was the world champion and Cody was the TNT champion.
That is correct.
I was going to say, I don't know. I thought...
maybe the thumbnail for this podcast should be that picture they took of them both giving the middle finger to the camera. Someone can Photoshop me and your heads onto theirs.
Yeah, giving the middle finger. That'd be awesome. But thank you all for listening, whether it's a second, a minute, second, a whole episode. Listen to every episode. We appreciate any time. We appreciate your downloads. I have had nothing but a good time doing this show. Whether it is home, work, or school, always do your best to be elite.